Hey friends, good to see you. It occurs to me that I'll have 10 years sobriety in 10 days. So I had this idea that I was going to do a vlog, I guess that's what this is, of 10 days till a decade, where each day I'm going to tell a story, whether it's from pre-sobriety or in recovery. I'm going to try to tell 10 stories to hopefully reach some people. I don't really know how it's going to go, but my only hope is that you'll hear something that I say and you can take that with you, whether you've decided to start getting sober or just start reducing self-harm or whatever it is, or just because you like looking at my dumb face. So today, I think on day one of the 10 days to the decade vlog, I'm going to tell you about the first drink of alcohol that I ever had, which is crazy to me that after a decade, I can still remember this moment as if it were yesterday. I have trouble remembering people's names and dates and times and things like that, but my first drink I remember very vividly because I've analyzed myself in recovery and it was a turning point. So here it goes. My first drink of alcohol was a Miller Genuine Draft beer, and the day was the summertime, and I know this because it was hot outside, and I was about 9 or 10 years old, I would say, and my father used to love to cut the lawn and have a beer in his hand while he did so. So I remember being outside playing in the yard, and my dad was cutting the grass, and I remember following around to the side of the house, and I noticed that he had left his beer in the fresh cut grass, and it was very warm and hot, and I grabbed the can and I took a big old swig because I wanted to see what the fuss was about. My father always had a beer whenever he did yard work, like many Midwestern dads did. So I remember taking a big old swig of this beer in the hot sunshine, and it was fucking disgusting. I have no idea why anybody at that point would want to drink something so nasty, but I also do remember afterwards I felt cool, like I felt like an adult, even though I was sneaking a beer, and it would be a little bit longer before I was actually handed my first beer in life to drink, but it was very memorable to me. I have a hard time remembering my first kiss. Not really. Shout out to Stephanie if you're watching. But I've digressed. It was a pivotal point for me because I remember thinking to myself after I felt the feeling of just a little bit of alcohol, like, this feels good. It tastes awful, but this feels good. And throughout my 10 years in recovery, I realized that I chased that feel-good feeling for a long time. Because even as a boy, I sometimes didn't like the way I felt. I had friends, but, I was a lonely kid after school hours. I remember I used to go fishing by myself, and later on in life I would play music in my room by myself. But alcohol to me from that moment became something to make me not feel like me, because I watched grown men in my life drink and make friends and be merry and go to parties. So that to me is why it was important to just tell that little tale. Is it all starts with that moment where you're like, oh, if I put this in me, it's going to make me feel good. So granted, there was a lot of times in my life that it did not make me feel good, especially towards the end. But I'm not one of those alcoholics that'll sit here and tell you that every single thing that I did pertaining to alcohol was awful, because it wasn't. I wouldn't have chased it to the bitter end if it didn't feel amazing. I mean, I had a lot of great memories drinking, and I also had a lot of awful memories drinking. So that's it. That was my first drink. Shout out to warm Miller Genuine Draft for being a cornerstone, which would lead to the next 15 years of my life of chasing that feeling and chasing that cool. So if you're still watching, thank you for watching, and I look forward to making another video tomorrow. And let's try to stay sober for another 10 days so we can get to that decade. So appreciate y'all.